Thanks for coming. You're coming back, all right.
Trevor and Trent are gone. Josh, are you allowed to use his?
Been there.
Oh, there.
I should say gentlemen. Our next presenter this evening is Abby. Where's Scobius?
Have you ever daydreamed about what your first date would be like? And have you ever wanted one so bad that you would say yes to anyone? Anyone? Well, this is what happens in my selection. First date. I suppose every girl daydreams about what it would be like when she goes on her first date. I know I did. 4 months. No, make that years before I ever had a real date. I daydreamed about what it would be. I don't mean vague daydreams like some guy would ask me out. I mean specific daydreams like Kurt Andrews will call me up, and when I say hello, he will say, "You are the most beautiful woman I have ever seen, and I hope you will be doing me the honor of attending the harvest dance with me." I imagined what would happen the night of the dance, too. Kurt would bring me flowers, not ordinary flowers. Something unusual, something exquisite, like a bouquet of tiger lilies, perhaps, or a nosegay of baby orchids and violets. He'd help me with my coat and open the door of his Porsche for me. And while we drove to the dance, we'd have a scintillating conversation on a variety of topics. I could tell you what I thought would happen the night at the dance, too. But perhaps you'd rather hear what really happened on my first date. To begin with it wasn't Kurt Andrews who called me up. It was Herbert McFish. This was something of a surprise to me because I tried to avoid Herbert whenever possible. He said, "This is Herbert. You'll want to go to the movies this Friday night?" I said, "You mean with you?" He said, "Of course I mean with me, stupid. Why do you think I'm calling you up?" At that point, I had to make a decision. Did I want to have the experience of going on a real date badly enough to let it be with Herbert? To be bluntly honest, did I want to have the experience of calling my friends and telling them I had a date badly enough to say yes to Herbert? I did. He said he'd pick me up at 6:45. That gave me 2 days to decide what to wear. My good dress and heels, my navy slacks and gray blazer, a sweatshirt with skirts and a flat. In the end, I wore slacks and blazer. Herbert wore jeans and a sweatshirt that said Hot Trucks on the front. His father drove us because Herbert flunked the written part of his driver's test. Not only was it bad enough his dad had to drive us, but his mother drove along with us. She asked me so many questions that Herbert and I had no time for a scintillating conversation. The movie was terrible. A senseless plot with blood and violence. I went to the restroom twice just so that I would not have to watch. In my daydreams, the dance always followed by a late candlelight supper with soft music in the background. I was realistic enough not to expect that from Herbert. But in the end, I thought we might go somewhere for a hamburger or a hot fudge sundae. Heck, I would be happy with McDonald's, just so that I could tell my friends we went out to eat after the movie. But when we came out of the theater, there was Mr. and Mrs. McFish, double parked in front watching for us. Mrs. McFish got out of the car and waved and shouted, "Herbie, over here!" Her hair was in rollers. I devoutly prayed that no one I knew could see me. When the ride was mercifully over, Herbert walked to the door with me. I lied. I told him I had a wonderful time. In my daydreams, Kurt would always kiss me goodnight. Herbert couldn't, not with his parents watching. I was glad about that. There are some experiences I do not want, not even if I get to tell my friends.